Good evening and welcome to Recovering Perfectionist Mama, Grace in Progress. My name is Buffy. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Happy to have you. I'm a women's lifestyle creator on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, bringing you topics that concern you personally, women. And if we have any men viewers, also you may be interested in this topic as well. These are some emotional topics, especially as a person who has experienced the family one firsthand. And it was a very emotional, negative, sad experience, especially because I am an inclusive person. I like to make friends. I like to treat people with empathy and compassion and respect. Not saying I'm perfect. I'm just saying that that is how I was raised. And I believe that everyone should be treated kindly. Even if you don't like someone, you can at least give them the respect of being kind to them. So this topic is about when family turns against you, and it was never about you. There's a specific kind of pain that comes when people who are supposed to love you turn against you. Not because you were cruel, not because you betrayed them, but because your growth made them uncomfortable. Today we're talking about what it means when family turns against you, not because of what you did, but because of what they're avoiding in themselves. And I truly believe that sometimes people have issues with other people, not because they think they're mean or they did something to them, but because it triggers something in them that makes them feel like they're lacking something. And ultimately, it took me a year or so to get over this, but now I look back and I realize that it was actually a blessing in disguise, because the family that actually left kind of did me a favor because they were a lot of drama anyway. And so now, I don't do drama. And so now I'm clear. I do what I want, and I realize that I was holding myself back in those relationships. And now I'm freer, I'm clearer. I mean, I wish them the best. I've forgiven them for what they've done. And ultimately, I just hope that they're able to find the happiness and joy in their lives that they're clearly lacking at certain points. Again, no disrespect, no hard feelings. Not everybody's going to like you, and that's okay, right? We're not all, I don't like everyone, I'll be honest. I treat people that I may not like with respect because that's what I was taught to do, and I believe that that is a cornerstone of being a human. But you don't have to be best friends with everyone either, right? Not everyone is for everyone. Some people don't like chocolate ice cream. Some people love chocolate ice cream, right? I know probably bad comparison comparing people to chocolate ice cream, but just giving an example. This is more common than we admit. This isn't rare. It's quietly common. Happens when you heal, you set boundaries, or you stop playing a role. Families often rely on unspoken roles. The peacemaker, the scapegoat, the emotional container. When you step out of that role, the system reacts. It can feel like betrayal, but it's often panic. Why their insecurities show up as attacks. Let me talk about how their insecurities surface. Your growth reflects what they've avoided. Maybe there has been this generational thing going in your family as long as you can remember, and you actually broke the chain. You actually were able to overcome some of the things that has plagued other people in your family. Not because you think you're better than them, not because you think you're smarter than them, but because you made a choice and you made sacrifices. That can trigger a lot of people. Your boundaries highlight their lack of them. Your healing removes their coping mechanism. Maybe you were the person that they talked about trauma with, and now you're like, you know what? I really don't want to go down that road again. I'm healing. I've worked on things. I'm good. But I wish you the best on your journey. Examples. You stopped over-explaining so they feel abandoned, right? You stopped allowing them to have a spot in your life where they could ask you personal questions, such as, how much money do you make? Do you, what things are you doing? What businesses are you considering? How, what does your IRA look like? What does your stock account look like? No, those are certain things that, we have to kind of keep private just for the sake of keeping our business and within our own family. You stop fixing and now they feel exposed. You stop shrinking, now they feel threatened. People who rely on dysfunction often feel safest when everyone stays unhealed. And the other thing that in my particular situation, I feel like it's mainly the oldest child, because the oldest child feels like they're the oldest, so they should be the most successful and they should be able to do whatever they want. And as an only child myself, I do not have siblings, nor does my husband. And so we don't really understand those dynamics. But we also are both very practical and realistic. Like, I'm not going to talk crap about anyone. I'm not going to get in conflict because I just don't have time for it. I have 5 kids to take care of, and I just don't have time for that. But like I said, I wish them nothing but the best. I hope they find what they're looking for. Even if I'm not part of their lives anymore, that's okay. Things happen. But what I do have a problem with is when you have a family member who's done things like that, and then they try to make things up about you, which is extremely painful at times, especially when you know it's not true. And then they try to turn their siblings against you because they have siblings and you don't. And because they're the oldest, a lot of the siblings will actually listen to this person and believe what they say is gospel and then tell other people, which clearly, whatever, it is what it is. The people that know you know you. And so if you're in that situation, know this. The people that actually know you know you. You don't have to work on like saving your reputation or worrying about what other people think, because they're going to come to their own conclusions anyway. And that's on them. So it's like people who rely on dysfunction, we've already said this, I'm going to say it again because it's worth repeating, often feel safest when everyone stays unhealed. And this is an ambiguous loss because it's just strange. It's just odd. But the relationship you hope for isn't. So common emotions, you get confused, you have shame, you have self-doubt, you have guilt for not being the bigger person. You grieve what never really existed, and that grief deserves space. And I will say that this one hits completely home for me because the person that I had a falling out with, I literally had a different view of that person. I mean, it's almost like I idolized or I closed my eyes to certain things that were so obvious. And it wasn't until that relationship fractured that I realized all the things that I was refusing to see, almost willful blindness, because we grew up together almost like siblings, with me being an only child. And so there was a closeness there. And I started realizing that what I thought was there was not there. I was seeing what I wanted to see. And so ultimately I was able to break free from that and to live the life that I wanted to live. So what this does not mean, it does not mean you're unlovable. It does not mean you're selfish. It does not mean you imagined the dynamic. It does not mean you need to go back to survive. Being rejected by people who can't tolerate growth is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection that they are going and willing to stay stagnant. And if that's not on your menu and on your agenda, okay, I understand. We're in 2 different places, and that's okay. How to stay grounded without self-abandoning. Let's talk about practical strategies. Name what's actually happening. This is about their discomfort, not my failure. Release the need to be understood. Understanding isn't required for boundaries. Anchor to evidence. Who supports the healed version of you? Allow distance without victimizing yourself. Distance can be grief-informed, not punitive. You're not required to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. And I think that's extremely important. Let's repeat it again. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep others warm or others comfortable, because they might think you're too much or you're not enough or who cares, right? Who cares? Can you look in the mirror and be happy with who you see and who you are and who you're becoming? Then that's important. Can you sleep at night knowing the things that you've done? Maybe you've made a mistake here or there, whatever. Are you comfortable with the person that you are? If the answer is yes, then that's all you need to know. Family can be chosen. And I will say that I had prayed for a lot of years to actually have family step into my life, because I'm not close with my father's family. And so I have a very small family. I had a very important relative to me, pass away here this past summer. So that was difficult. But I will say that I've had some girlfriends that have come alongside and have been phenomenal. They are the family that I had been looking for as an only child: supportive, loving, caring, encouraging, and love me for who I am. And I think that friends can become family. And if you are lucky enough to get that village that surrounds you and supports you, and you're able to do the same for them, and your kids grow up together, that's a beautiful, beautiful gift that I do not take for granted. Excuse me. Family can also be seasonal, can be reimagined. Safety is more important than proximity. Love without respect is not love, it's familiarity. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop participating in harm. And harm to yourself counts too. Like if you're allowing yourself to be abused and you're making yourself smaller to make someone else uncomfortable, you're harming yourself. You're putting yourself down in a way. You deserve respect too, just like you give others. And I'm sure most of you probably do give others a lot of respect, because that's what people do as humans. So let's do the closing reflection. If this resonates with you, I want you to hear this clearly and honestly and openly. I've always said that you can expect honesty from me, and I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, like I said, this topic has touched me, but you didn't lose your family because you were broken. You outgrew a system that couldn't grow with you because they were incapable for whatever reason: choice, laziness, not wanting to, mental illness, who knows? Addiction, who knows? And that takes courage even when it hurts. And for those of you that know, somatic symptoms can sometimes follow that. So, call to action. If this episode spoke to you, you're not alone. Share it with someone who needs permission to stop blaming themselves. And if you're walking this road quietly, I see you. I've been you. And I completely understand how you feel, which is why I decided to do this podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and that you'll come back and see us again soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.